What's up, everybody? I'm Jeff Straw. Welcome back to another video. I'm pumped about this one. Today we're talking about waiting. More precisely, I'm talking about stop waiting. How to stop waiting, stop waiting, stop waiting. I think for a lot of us, it's easy to commit to something when someone else is involved. In other words, when you get hired at a job, you're going to commit to the boss that you show up on time. And for the most part, you show up on time, right? But it's so much harder to commit to ourselves, to start striving for achieving those big goals we have within ourselves, those ones that we're scared to even tell our best friends about, or maybe scared to tell our spouses about, right? Those are the goals that they move us, but they also terrify us, right? And so I'm talking about that piece. And I don't know what that is for you. Maybe you want to be a fashion designer, right? Maybe you wanted to start a blog. Maybe you're an author, but you haven't written anything yet, right? Like that underlying drive that you've always had, that dream you've wanted to attain, those sorts of things that inevitably are incredibly fulfilling. It's easy for us to wait on those. And that waiting comes in two different flavors. I see waiting as internal waiting and external waiting. Let me tell you what I mean by that. When I say internal waiting, I mean so many times I have been guilty of this too, don't get me wrong. The internal waiting looks like this. I'm waiting until I'm perfectly ready and I know enough to get started and I'm motivated enough to get started. Like, oh, it's easy for you because you're super motivated. Well, no, not always, right? Like that motivation has to come from somewhere. That motivation comes from stop waiting and start doing, right? And so if all of us just wait until that perfect moment of inspiration and where I have all of the knowledge in all of the things, start my new website or start my YouTube channel or, whatever that is for you, when you let that internal waiting get in the way, that can prolong your starting the adventure by years. You can look back in 5 years and be like, what happened? So how do we stop that internal waiting? How do we stop the waiting from that internal voice? You just do little bits, right? You get in action with one small piece, right? Google's done so much for the culture. But one of the things that they pride themselves on is the ability to launch and iterate, right? So they'll launch a product that they know might change down the road, might improve down the road, heck, might not even necessarily stay forever, but they're going to launch it and they're going to learn from the launch and they're going to iterate the product. They have endless amounts of resources and they're still not trying to know everything or get everything perfect before they launch, right? So when you're working towards something on your own, by yourself, the notion of like, I have to have it all together before I even start is ludicrous. You're just never going to start. And so take one small step towards that goal. And then the next day you take that step, you take that next step, maybe you take 2 or 3 steps. And guess what? You start to build up momentum. And when you start to build up that momentum, everything shifts, right? Suddenly, instead of being terrifying, the action becomes exciting. So that's the internal waiting. What external waiting looks like is waiting for the circumstances to line up, right? Like, oh, I'd love to start that, but we need funding first. Sure, it's great to have capital, but there's a lot of work that can be done before an investment hits the table with a small company. The other big external waiting factor sounds like, oh, when I look a certain way, right? Like, oh, if only I lost those 10 pounds, then I would be willing to go out and do that thing, right? Then I would have the confidence to start ballroom dancing or whatever that is, right? And we let those external circumstances keep us in waiting, right? In that perpetual waiting loop. It's kind of the same formula, is you have to find some way to break through that barrier and realize that there's no such thing as a perfect circumstance. And when you can operate on what you're given and the tools you have available today, and just, I sound like a broken record, but just get in action, you're going to be so much more fulfilled. the hope here in this little quick video is to just kind of motivate you guys. Look, it's the beginning of the year. I'm fired up about a whole bunch of different things, and I really wanted to take a look at this concept of waiting, and like waiting for the right time, waiting for the right circumstances, waiting for the right knowledge. And I would encourage you all to push through those barriers for yourself, those self-imposed barriers, because look, only you can push through those. Push through those self-imposed barriers and start taking some action. And then in the comments, let me know below what's the action you're taking today, not tomorrow, today. I don't care if it's 11:50 at night. What are you doing today? I've been doing 100 push-ups every day so far in January. Sometimes I don't do them until 11:50 at night, and I'm like, oh man, if I'm gonna get them, I gotta get them in tonight, right? So it's never too late. What are you doing today towards that goal? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you like the video, please subscribe, share it with your friends. But I can't wait to hear from you, and thanks again for checking it out. I'm Jeff Straw. Thanks. Peace.